Welcome all, and it is now day 23 I can't even remember how many days it is, 90, 91, 92 days worth of this attachment style series I'm doing up until the end of the year. So today I want to talk about how avoidant attachers experience and show love. You'll have to forgive me, my brain is very fuzzy today. I'm in a lot of pain. I have muscle wastage in my bad leg in particular, and I think it's causing like contracture or something like that. I don't know. I can't really straighten my leg anymore, so it's very uncomfortable. So anyway, that aside, that means nothing to anything. So I want to talk about how avoidant attachers experience and show love today. I did anxious attachers yesterday, so today I'm going to focus on dismissive avoidance. So dismissive avoidant attachers are very misunderstood. They get misunderstood a lot. People often assume that they don't care, that they're cold, detached, or incapable of love. And I hear this constantly. It's all over the flipping internet. Everywhere you look, if the minute anybody says, oh, avoidant, suddenly it's like, oh yeah, well they're basically narcissists, aren't they? They're horrible people. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. A dismissive avoidant is not a narcissist. Let's just put that straight right now. They are not the same thing at all. Um, the truth is, dismissive avoidants do love, and they often love very, very deeply. They just love differently. So because for someone with dismissive avoidant attachment, love doesn't always feel safe. Closeness can feel like pressure, a lot of pressure, and vulnerability can feel like losing control. So they keep love at arm's length, not because they don't feel it, but because they don't know how to stay close and feel safe at the same time. Sorry, I'm going to have to move. Okay. Sorry. So anyway, let's start with where this comes from, because I'm getting distracted by the pain now. But let's start with where this comes from. Um, Dismissive avoidant attachment usually develops in childhood when emotional needs were met with distance, dismissal, or discomfort. Maybe a parent was like physically there but emotionally unavailable, uncomfortable with affection or feelings or emotions. Or maybe the child learned early on that expressing sadness or fear or pain would be met with criticism or shame or silence. So they adapted. They adapted like we all did. They became the good child, the self-sufficient one, the one who didn't need or ask for much. They learned to suppress their emotional needs and rely only on themselves. It wasn't defiance, it wasn't coldness, it wasn't selfishness, it was protection at a time where they didn't know how else to protect themselves. Their nervous system associated vulnerability with danger and independence with safety. That pattern became their template for love throughout the rest of their lives. So, as adults, dismissive avoidant attachers still crave affection and connection, but the moment intimacy deepens, their nervous system says, this feels really unsafe. This feels so unsafe right now. So they start to withdraw, not because they've lost interest, but because their body is trying to keep them safe from the vulnerability that once caused them pain, that once hurt them. So how do they experience love? Well, for a dismissive avoidant attacher, love often feels like a contradiction. They want to be close, but not too close. They don't want to be too close. They want affection, but only when it feels on their terms. They want to open up, but the fear of being emotionally exposed can feel unbearable. So you might notice this pattern if this is you. When everything feels calm and light, they're they're present, they're playful, even affectionate. But as soon as emotional intensity rises, whether it's conflict or closeness or a partner's vulnerability, they begin to pull away. They don't know how to handle it, so they withdraw. They might stop replying as much. They may ghost you altogether. They may become quieter, or they might bury themselves in work or hobbies. It's not that they've stopped caring, they're trying to regulate. That withdrawal is their nervous system's version of taking a deep breath for a moment. So, what's really happening beneath the surface is that their brain has linked love with loss of control. And dismissive avoidants love their control. I say this all the time. They love to be in control. So every time someone gets too close, their body reacts like it's being cornered, basically. So, dismissive avoidant attachers rarely say "I love you" easily, by the way, and that's not because they don't mean it, but because words feel too exposing for them. So instead, they tend to show love through action. So they might fix something in your house, or they might drive you home after a long day, or make sure you're safe. They're practical, reliable, and thoughtful, but they prefer doing over feeling. So their acts of service are love in disguise, basically. It's their way of saying, I do care, without risking vulnerability that they're scared of. However, when their partner needs emotional closeness, reassurance, deep talks, open affection, they can become overwhelmed really quickly, really easily. So they might go quiet, they might shut down, or even appear irritated with you. But it's not that they don't want intimacy, it's that their nervous system doesn't yet know how to stay connected without feeling consumed. So, what goes on inside the avoidance mind during intimacy? I get asked this quite a lot. And, if you imagine growing up believing that needing someone makes you weak, that to be loved means to lose freedom, that expressing pain or fear will push people away, then as an adult, someone asks you to open up, to be vulnerable, to share, to depend on them. It feels like being asked to give up the very thing that's always kept you safe. That's what happens inside a dismissive avoidant attacher when love gets real. It's not that they don't want the connection, they just don't yet trust that they can have connection and autonomy at the same time. So they create distance to survive the closeness, basically. They withdraw, they repress, they intellectualize anything to stay in control. Oh my God, the logic that they will try and throw at you is is hilarious sometimes, but it's just their defense mechanism. It's intellectualizing. They use logic to try and stay in control. But here's the heartbreak of it, and it is really heartbreaking when you really dig into the dismissive avoidance style. What they're really trying to protect isn't their independence, it's actually their heart. So, avoidant attachment, they're so scared of opening up. It feels so unsafe to them that they never fully accept the love that is out there and available to them. So, how do we heal this? How do we heal the avoidant pattern? A good question. Good question. It's not as easy as the anxious attachment style, I don't think, anyway. I mean, some people may disagree with me, but I've generally found that anxious attachers are more open to growth and more self-aware, whereas dismissive avoidants tend to try and avoid these things because it means opening up. But dismissive avoidant attachment can absolutely heal, but it takes patience and self awareness and safe connection. And here's where the process begins, basically. So, number one, we want to acknowledge the wall without shame. Now, dismissive avoidants have a very deep core wound around shame. So this one is quite difficult for them. So they need to acknowledge you built a wall around you for a reason. It kept you safe when closeness felt dangerous. Now that same wall may be keeping love out. It's keeping you isolated. And yes, in your brain, you're telling yourself, well, I'm happy like this, but you're not really. If you were open with your feelings, you're not really happy like that. But it doesn't mean it needs to be destroyed overnight either. You don't need to like destroy the whole castle. You just need to start noticing when you pull away. So number two, you need to name your discomfort instead of acting on it. So you might say, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, but I still care. Um, that honesty allows your partner to stay connected without triggering your fear of being trapped. When you open up about the fact that you are feeling overwhelmed or that you need some space, but you still care and you are coming back to it once you've regulated yourself, that honesty allows your partner to not feel like they are being abandoned by you, which will then calm their nervous system down as well. So, yeah, you want to stay connected without triggering your fear of being trapped, essentially. So, number three, is to practice tolerating closeness in small doses. So, vulnerability is like a muscle. You start small, you stay present during moments of affection or conversation, even if your instinct is to retreat. Don't run. Even if you just stay in it for like a couple of extra messages or a couple of extra minutes, start small and then it will grow. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Vulnerability is like a muscle. We all need to train it. So, number four is to relearn what safety actually feels like. So, for dismissive avoidance, safety used to mean solitude, it meant isolation, independence. Healing means teaching your nervous system that emotional intimacy can feel safe too. So, avoidant healing isn't about becoming dependent, by the way. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's about allowing yourself to depend sometimes without feeling threatened by it. So, what would secure love look like or feel like for an avoidant attacher? Um, well, when an avoidant attacher begins to heal, everything changes for them. They discover that love doesn't mean losing autonomy. It means finding freedom within that connection. They begin to communicate honestly instead of withdrawing, and that is really lovely to see. When you've seen a dismissive avoidant at their strongest, kind of start to open up and be vulnerable. It's so nice to watch. It's so lovely to see. So they learn that it's okay to say, I need space, without shutting the other person out. They start to let people actually really see them, not the composed version, but the actual real one. And that's when love starts to feel peaceful instead of pressured for them. So dismissive avoidance makes some of the best partners when they heal. They do. That's why they're such a draw to most attachment styles. You know, they tend to be loyal and calm and deeply protective and emotionally balanced once they've healed. Not whilst they're in once they've moved from dismissive avoidance into a secure attachment style. This is what you can expect from them when they're stuck in that dismissive avoidant trap. Not so much. They don't make particularly good partners at that point. They're once they've healed though, their independence becomes grounded presence basically. Their quiet love becomes consistent love, and they stop running from intimacy and start walking towards it slowly, intentionally, and securely. So if you see yourself in this, remember avoidance isn't a lack of love. It's love hidden behind fear. You learned that closeness could cost you safety. Now you've got to learn that true safety lives inside connection, not outside of it. You don't have to rush this. You don't have to share everything at once. In fact, I recommend that you don't. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Start small. Healing avoidant attachment isn't about forcing openness. It's about learning to stay when you want to run. That's the main thing. It's learning to stay when you feel overwhelmed and uncomfortable, when you want to run. Because love isn't meant to take your freedom. Real love frees you to be seen, to be known, and to still belong to yourself, essentially. So, oh my gosh, I'm getting so bad with these bloody reflections that I keep wanting to do. So today, I think what reflection can we do today? Um, you see, my brain when I'm in pain, it just goes to plot. To plot? Um, I can't even talk today. I don't know why I'm doing this. I apologize right now. Okay, I've thought of one. So, if you identify with avoidant attachment, I want you to ask yourself this. When does closeness begin to feel uncomfortable for you? And what story does your mind tell you in those moments? So, is it possible that what feels like, too much is actually the beginning of real intimacy for you? Because avoidance isn't about not wanting love. I'm sure if you were actually honest with yourselves, you would know that. It's about fearing that love will cost you your freedom. Whereas healing means realizing that true love gives you freedom, it doesn't take it away. Anyway, before I hash this up any further, I am going to go and let you get on with your evening, and I will see you again tomorrow when I talk about fearful avoidance. Take care, all. Bye.